This is a 2019 Honda Fit EX with the CVT. So starting off at the back, you do have the smart keyless entry. Here's your backup camera. So with the smart keyless entry, you could just push on the button back here and it will automatically open up the back hatch for you. So coming back here, you do have a small trunk light, as well as an accessory for your cargo, which is actually really nice. And then come down here, you do have your tire changing tools, as well as your spare tire. And then as for the rear seats, you can fold them down via these levers right here. And as you guys can see, it does go down pretty flat. Now coming to the gas tank. The gas lid is located on the driver's side, and in order to access your driver gas lid, you would have to go to the driver's side and lift on your gas lever. Now upon opening your gas lid, you have about 10-gallon gas tank, as well as a neat area right here to put your gas lid, or should I say your fuel cap. Now starting at the back of the rear of the Honda Fit, let's take a look at the materials. On top you do have hard plastic, and you do have a fake aluminum trim with more hard plastic, and then a area right here covered in cloth. And then for the armrest, you do have hard touch plastic, as well as a compartment right here, your window switch, and another compartment right here to put a full-size cup and your speakers. And then coming into the cabin of the rear, you do have just one mat pocket, no air vents or any charging outlets. As you can see, on the other side you do have the same materials. And also, as you can see, one of the seats have been folded up via the Honda Magic Seat technique. And these headrests right here, you can't slide these headrests up and down. And also, you can tilt the seat back a little bit, as you can see here. And these seats are cloth seats, but they're actually pretty cushy, and they feel very durable for the cloth material. And if you wanted to lift this side up too, there is handlebar, or should I say handle down here, where you just lift this up. You just lift the seat up, and you just pull this down, and now you have a very cavernous rear seat area. And you can also see with this setup, even while I have this seat down, in case you do need a passenger back here, you still have room to be able to put a 32-pack water along with your laundry detergents, another bag, umbrella, and then coming inside, it is a fairly easy step in height. Shut the door here. Looking up here, you do have a nice headliner as well as a cabin light for the back passengers. This Honda Fit EX does come equipped from the factory sunroof. And looking down here, you do have a lot of space, and the floor is somewhat flat. You do have a tiny hump right here, but it doesn't get in your way. So for your middle passenger, they won't have a problem with this hump. Now, if you were to lift this seat down for a bit, you can see that there is no center armrest, but you do have cup holders large enough for your drinks. And then these headrests, you can't lift them up because if you don't, they will get in your way. Very cavernous interior for a small car. Now getting out, it's actually really easy. You can just use your legs to help you out. And as you can see here, you can unlock and lock the passenger side too via this button right here. And now let's go to the front passenger side. Let's take a look at the materials. You still have the same hard touch, cloth covered area right here. Armrest is hard plastic. Same setup as you would find in the rear. Now take a look at the passenger seat. Both the driver and passenger have fully manual seats. These seats are somewhat supportive. They're not too bad. Texture is actually really nice. It's not soft, but it's actually, if the material feels pretty durable. Now let's step inside. Very easy. You sort of just fall into the seat. And just sitting here on the passenger side, you do have a soft touch plastic material right here. But on the dash, it's all hard touch. And then you come to your middle infotainment system. It is facing the driver more than the passenger. Come back down here, you do have a glove box that is decent size, but it is not lockable. Coming up here, you do have vanity mirrors, but no light. And it does extend, but it doesn't really extend all the way. But you do have the extension. And then coming up here, you do find your sunroof controls as well as your dome lights, which are halogens. And you do have just a regular rear view mirror. And then up here, you will have a camera for your Honda sensing. Now, as you can see, you do have manual climate control that is single zone. And you do have very, very sturdy and big buttons for your AC controls. Very simple, very easy to use. See here, this is your recirculation, fully manual. Along with your rear defroster, and then your AC button right here. And coming down here, you do have your connection for your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto, along with a 12-volt outlet. Come here. And then looking down here, you do have another compartment here where you can store napkins and paper. And then your 2 cup holders are also located here. And then here you have your CVT transmission shifter. Coming down here, you do have another compartment here for other accessories. And then another tiny compartment here where you can store your change and other smaller items and your traditional e-brake. Now for the center armrest here, you do get a somewhat padded. It's not actually cushy. It's actually just covered with cloth. Now let's take a look at the center console glove box. See here, you can put quite a bit of stuff in here. And you also have another charging port along with another power outlet. Now let's get out. Getting out, it's fairly easy. Now for the EX models and up, you do have this camera right here on the right side of the passenger side. It is for your lane watch. And now let's take a look at the driver's side. All the materials seem to be the same, except you have your window switches, your window lock, and your side mirror controls. As you can see, your driver's side seat is manual. And then, now let's take a look at the foot controls. You do have rubberized plastic material as well as a footrest cover. Down here is where you also find your gas lid lever, as well as your hood control. And then down here, sort of like a blank slot right here. And then above that, you do find your traction control, as well as your lane departure alert and your collision warning system, which you can turn off and on. And on top, you do have your eco button. And then coming up here is where you find the most practical cup holder in the world, found on the Honda Fit models. This thing is so useful. And with the vents here, you can cool your drink on a hot day, or you can keep it warm on a cold day. And now coming to the steering column, you do find your button right here for your turn signals and also your automatic headlight controls. This button right here actually activates the lane watch camera that I showed you guys earlier on the right side of the passenger side. You can turn the lane watch camera on all the time if you are in traffic and you want to know what's going on and you don't feel like looking to your right every 5 minutes. You can leave that on. And here, sitting in the driver's seat, as you can see, you do have a very big view out of the front window. And the dash here is a little higher, so you will not see your hood. And then just taking a look, as you can see, your infotainment system is oriented towards you. Very clean and simple setup, yet very practical. Now let's take a look at the steering wheel. This steering wheel is fully tilt and telescopic. And on the back of the steering wheel, you do have paddle shifters. And one neat thing about these paddle shifters is that for the positive side, you do have these bumps here in the back. If you can see here, these bumps will actually tell you that you are pressing on the positive side. On the negative, it's just plain, smooth plastic. And here you have your volume and audio controls along with your sources. And then down here you do have your hands-free phone controls. And then these buttons right here is actually used to scroll up and down and select your information screen over here. And then here you have your cruise control as well as your radar cruise control settings and your lane departure alert. And the steering wheel is actually made of this synthetic rubberized plastic, but it feels good, and it seems like it's actually a good material that's going to last a very long time. It doesn't really get too hot in the sun compared to the leather steering wheels. Overall, I think the steering wheel looks very attracting. And then coming up here, you do have vanity mirror. And it does extend. Also, for your EX models and up, they do come standard with a sunroof. Very good visibility. Lots of big windows. Okay, so let's take a look at the dash cluster here. As you can see in the middle, you do have this really big speedometer with, if you can see right in the middle, which you can't really see right now, there's sort of like a black ball right here, which I think could have been used for a digital speedometer, but I guess Honda didn't feel like doing that. And then on the left side, you do have your tag, as well as your transmission position and your clock and your outside temperature. And then onto the right side, you do have your gas gauge, along with your trip meters and your gas mileage, range, and average. And then down here, these buttons here actually toggles those information here. If you press on the middle button here that says select and reset, you actually change your trip meters from A to B to your odometer. And then if you were to press on these two arrows here, you're actually scrolling up and down your menus. As you can see, you can go to your vehicle settings here, where you can see other options. It's got quite a bit of options here for you to set up to your own liking. And then you also have your engine oil life, which tells you when you need to do your oil change, and also more information. And then here you do have your ACC and LKA indication that it is on and working. The LKAS is your lane keep assist, and then your ACC is, I'm guessing, your cruise control. Very nice and easy to read dash cluster here. Very simple. And also for the EX models and up, you do have push button start. So with this, you do have the ability to get inside your car and start it up really fast. And I will demonstrate that to you guys right now. Just like that. And then getting out, as you can see, you do have a pretty thick pillar right here. But with the setup that this car has, you're not going to have to stretch your legs out. Even for a short person like me, there's barely any stretching trying to get out. So easy to get out. Now let's take a look at the engine bay. The hood is small and light. Here you can see the 1.5 liter iVTEC Earth Dreams engine. Very small, compact engine, but with decent room to do your services. Also a fairly small battery. Very nice. So since this is a CVT, you do have a automatic shifter here. And then going to reverse, as you can see, you do have a nice backup camera with your lines, and it also has trajectory, which is super useful. And you do have 3 camera angles. So this is like your fisheye angle, and then you have your standard, and also your bottom angle for when you're backing up into a curb or into a trailer, and that helps. And also for the shifter here, the materials on the shifter is the same as what you find on the steering wheel on the EX models. And then you do have an S mode for your sport, but for right now we're just going to start up and drive. Right off the bat, the gas pedal is fairly sensitive, and the brake is sort of boosted, but it's not too bad. Now let's take a look at the visibility in here. As you can see here, you do have a bigger pillar back there, but there's plenty of windows back there for you to see out. And also, if you don't want to turn to your right to look sometimes, you do have the lane watch, which you can always leave on, or if you turn your right signal on, the camera here actually shows what's on the right side of your car. And it also has distance markers here, show how far the vehicle is from you. And the visibility to the left is pretty good. Your pillar here is a little big, but you can still see out from the left fairly good. If you don't have this seatbelt strap all the way up, if you do that, the seatbelt does get in the way. The bat, you do hear the CVT, you do hear the droniness of the engine, but after you get up to speed, this car is fairly quiet. You do hear a tiny bit of wind noise, and also some road noise due to the Firestone tires on this car. Braking is pretty good. You do get some body roll, and these seats are a little bit wider for me, so I do slide around a little bit. Whew, yep, that gas pedal is pretty sensitive. If you floor it, this car will downshift, or should I say, change the ratios to give you the power you want at a pretty instantly. And it does make quite a bit of noise, but overall, acceleration is, I guess, something you would expect from a smaller displacement engine. But the brakes is really good. Plus, this is a smaller car too, so stopping isn't going to be a problem. If you're in no hurry, no rush, this car will be pretty adequate. If you're coming from a bigger car into the Honda Fit, you will find this car's acceleration to be somewhat humble, I guess. But for me, I feel like the acceleration is fairly amusing, just because when you floor it, you really hear the engine work to give you that power. Oh man. Honda Fit lineup, you can get a manual in the Honda Fit Sport, or you can also get it in the EX model trim. Steering is very, very light. It is actually pretty direct, but it is numb. Here, let's take a look. As you can see here, you do have a very long and pretty tall window, so you can actually see fairly good out of the right passenger side. And then from the left side, you also have very good visibility. You can actually see cars coming from half a mile away. Decent acceleration, guys. It does get up to speed without much effort. Now let's test out the turning radius on the Honda Fit. It is excellent. If you're just driving normally and just cruising on the streets, the Honda Fit is a very excellent car for that. And it gets decent gas mileage too. I believe the Honda Fit is probably the best and most practical car you can buy for under 20 grand. If you don't go for the EXL model trim and you just stick with the EX model, you can actually get this Honda Fit EX out the door for about $19,000 if you know how to bargain. With the CVT, I know it's not a manual, but I feel like the CVT does a decent job at giving you the power when you need it. And the gas pedal is so sensitive that if you were to step down just a little bit, the CVT will automatically, almost instantly, change the ratios to give you the power you need. Not what you want, but what you need. And also for the back roads like these, that go through curves, you will have to brake a little bit because the tires will give up on you if you go over the speed limit on the curves. And also because this car is a hatchback, you've got very good visibility. You got really big and tall windows. You can see out almost everywhere. And you also have the lane watch feature too on the EX models and up. And here you can always see if you're on like the highway and there's 3 lanes, you can use the lane watch to help you when you are trying to change lane or just to keep a watch on your surroundings. But if you're just daily driving, normal driving, I think the Honda Fit will no doubt give you everything you possibly want in a car. This car does take regular gas, and you got the magic seats in back, you got the hatchback capability, you can fit a bunch of stuff in here. And I have seen one of my buddies go to IKEA with his Honda Fit, and he actually brought home an L-shaped table. Now, granted, he did have to move the front seats up a little bit, but it's feasible. Now, driving this car every day, the only thing that will probably put a smile on your face is when you are at the gas pump and when you do this. Because at the gas pump, the gas tank is about 10 gallons, so it only takes you, give or take, $20 to fill up. And that whole gas tank will last you for about 360 miles. So it is actually quite cheap to run this car and to keep. And let's not forget the magic cup holder that we have on the left side of the driver's side. I wish they had also placed a magic cup holder on the passenger side. I think that would just make this car even more desirable, because with the magic cup here, you do have vents. So on a hot day like this, 85 degrees, if I want to keep my Coke or my McDonald's drink cool, I can keep it cool. But when it comes to winter time, if I want to keep my coffee warm, I can also keep it warm due to the vent that's located right there by the magic cup holder. Now this car does have VTEC, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear it, but if you step the pedal all the way down, you do feel that surge from the VTEC from about 5,500 RPMs all the way up to about 6,500 RPM. This car does rev up to 6,800 RPMs. So if you had a choice, you can go for the manual 6-speed and just rev the crap out of this car. And I think that would be the joy of owning a manual for the Fit. Now, you do have paddle shifters. I don't know if the LX trim has paddle shifters, but for this EX trim, you do have paddle shifters for the CVT models. And the paddle shifters, they are there. I don't find myself wanting to use them, because being that it's an automatic, if I just step on it, I'll just let the CVT do all the work. But who knows? If you take it up to the mountains, the paddle shifters will actually come in handy, because you can use it to downshift and allow the engine to engine brake for you. And I will demonstrate a little bit coming onto this curve here. Here I am just going through this curve with the engine brake, and here I am. Okay, so with the CVT, you can rev this engine all the way up to 6,800 RPMs. Now, with the paddle shifters, you do have 7 simulated gears to play with. So if you're planning on doing some drag racing, there will be quite a bit of clicking. So now that I'm using the paddle shifters, I do notice something very, very convenient about this. Instead of having to put the transmission into the S mode, which stands for sport mode, you can instead use the paddle shifters conveniently to downshift immediately to the gear or ratio you want to be. So I find that very convenient. And if I'm coming to a stop, I can just use the paddle shifter to slow myself down. Now, when I'm just accelerating, I let the CVT or the computer do all the upshifting for me. But say if I come across this curve up ahead and I want to go and be a little bit more spirited, I can use the paddle shifter to downshift and put me at the gear ratio where I can be at the speed I want. But then after a few seconds after you engage the paddle shifters and you get up to the speed you want, the computer does come back and override the manual option and automatically do all the upshifts for you. So I find that pretty convenient and neat. Oh my god. Okay, so paddle shifters are fun, man. Once you start using them, they are fun. Oh yeah, paddle shifters. So since this is the CVT, you are going to lose some control from not having the manual transmission, but Honda does give you the option of having paddle shifters. And with the paddle shifters, you are going to find it pretty convenient and amusing. And even for straight roads, if I want to go a little bit faster, just downshift, and the computer does it all for me instantly. And then it goes back to just regular drive and upshifts automatically for me. And I've been driving for about 30 minutes now, and I don't feel no backache. I don't feel no hurting in my butt. These seats are fairly comfortable, guys. Yeah, guys, you can still have a lot of fun. You can still have a lot of fun in the Honda Fit with the CVT, as long as it comes with the paddle shifters. Everything's just so convenient with the CVT. You don't have to use your left foot and take your hand off the steering wheel to shift. It's all within your fingertips. So if you want to drive like a maniac, you can still do it in the CVT. You just gotta know when to play with the paddles. So all in all, guys, I feel like the CVT would be the most reasonable and practical choice for all you people who wants a practical and comfortable driving car. Because if you ever find yourself bored driving the Honda Fit with the CVT, just start playing with the paddle shifters. I promise you, you will become engaged and amused. They can go all the way down, or you can lift them up.